Minus X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's the Rocket Hour. Y'all are now tuned in. Time to hit the pick four that you'd love to win. If your money's coming slow, step on the faster track with your host, Ricky Pasternak. Let's go.
What's up, y'all? We're back, and it's Saratoga once again today. Listen, I've had my coffee, and we flipped again. There we go. I've had my coffee and nothing to eat, so I'm shaky right now, Ricky. I'm getting old. I can't have coffee without anything to eat. But we're back. We're Saratoga. We're late pick four in it. We've got a grade 2 race to talk about. That's what I love about Saratoga on a Wednesday. Ricky, you fired up for today?
Yeah, I'm feeling better.
You sound better.
Yeah, hopefully I sound better. I still have a few tissues, napkins, but not nearly as bad as yesterday. I don't know what planet I was on yesterday. I feel like I'm at like 75, 80%. I was like 0% yesterday. But Saratoga is the only place where you can have a grade 2 race on a Wednesday. So we're obviously going to get into it. If you guys are interested, we do have one steeplechase race as well. I don't know how much accurate information we could offer, but we can give it a shot.
Yeah, I think we're going to do the steeplechase race at the end for sure. That was a lot of fun last week when Jared Bush gave us a lock, who I think still running. So hopefully he shows up for the steeplechase action again, just so we can get the laugh. Yeah, you're on the struggle bus yesterday. You're back today. You're back just in time. I'll put the tickets up now because it's time to get to work, Ricky. This is not an easy sequence, but I think it's a fun one. We got a lot of really good runners. We will start as I throw it up. There we go. We're going to start race 7, obviously, where we'll start. That's where the late pick 4 begins. We're off to a really good, a tough race right off the bat, right? An allowance, $110,000 purse. It's allowance optional claim. We're going a mile and 16th on the turf. The 1, the 3, the 5. Those are the ones that are out. The 1 was a MTO. 3 and 5 are out. So Hungry Kitten passing out. They're out of the field. Listen, we got some class droppers here. So I think that's kind of the key to the whole thing. Where did you go on to open us up here?
Real quick, this is accurate. If you may be a degenerate if you're betting the steeplechase. I agree with Jason there. You could stick right there before you don't have to scroll down anymore, because I think we're kind of looking at the outer horses to me, the later post positions. I'm gonna look here to see what you have, and yeah, you got a huge win bet on the horse I have on top. So I'll just talk about the other two. I thought Sweet Melania was interesting. She's not quite in the form that she used to be when she won the Wonder Again, finished second in the Lake George, which we just saw the Lake George this past weekend. But she's still a talented horse, still a talented filly. It just goes to show you that the American Fowl runners look like they're better on the grass continuously, more and more, even though they have shown some dirt form as well. They're probably better turf runners in terms of his offspring. But the speed is what's going to put her on the ticket for me, because we'll talk about your top choice and another horse that I'm interested in. For the record, I was interested in the 5 passing out first out for the year, and she's going to be out now, a daughter by Orr. But I think Sweet Melania, going back to her, should be able to show speed and honestly pretty much get it uncontested, right? We have the 2, the 4, the 6, the 7, 8, 9. We're down to, I think, 6 horses. It's going to has the feeling of a merry-go-round race. This kind of goes back to what you talked about, though, the speed not holding up. When there's a smaller field like this on the turf, I think we could legitimately see 24 and 4. Like, I feel like that's accurate. Again, your top choice has 0 early speed, even though she's my top choice as well. And I think she has a chance to go gate to wire, especially with Luis Saez aboard. The other horse I thought was interesting, I'll Handle the Cash. I'm just not going to leave off of Mike Maker, Tyler Gaffalione right now. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not entirely sure if she's good enough. She hasn't won a race since last year. She's 1 for 10 in the last 2 years. 3 for 10 in regards to in finishing in the money. But Aaron, everything Mike Maker seems to throw out seems to be running, and I'm not a 12-1 morning line. We're not going to see that. I would assume we're down to maybe 7 or 8-1. I'm just not going to leave this group off. So again, I did use a horse you're going to talk about now, but I think the 7 and 8 are players. I really like the 7 because of the speed. And the couple that jockey trainer combo, I think you can make the arguments the best going right now. So I'm just not going to leave them off. So I went 6, 7, and 8, but I'll let you talk about this Chad Brown trainee Tamahir.
Yeah, so we saw the on top horse Tamahir the same, and I'll get to that one in a second. I think we are a little bit different, and I say think. I know we're a little bit different underneath. I did use the 7 Sweet Melania, and I'm with you. She does look like she's going to be loose in the lead. She's also getting a little bit of class drop. But again, we talked about it yesterday. Speed on the turf has been tough. So it's kind of what we said. Don't put the speed horses in a situation where they have to win for you to cash a ticket. But I still think you kind of have to use them a bit defensively because you never know when that track is going to change. And you don't want to be sitting here with a loose on the lead horse and you've handicapped it loose on the lead and then you don't use it because of something that happened last week and the week before. So I do think you have to use Sweet Melania. Steve brought up the 4 horse, Speak to Me of Summer. I think that horse is interesting too. Another horse getting a bit of a class drop. I take a big line through the Monmouth race. Don't care about horses in Monmouth and how they do. You look at her other races, she's right there as well. And then Dennis mentions the 9 with Tez. I'm with you. I'm interested in that horse. I think that's one I would put on a ticket. So I think you and I are kind of different in a lot of situations as far as horses in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. But let's get to the 6, and I'll leave Dennis's comments up. Dennis, I really don't view this as we're giving up on this horse. If the horse is, in for a tag or something like that, might be a little different. I don't know. We're coming out of 2 grade 1s. And listen, 2 back, this horse was 2nd in a grade 1 race. And then last time out, we've seen those horses out of the Just a Game. A lot of them came back, and ran last week in the Diana. That's just a really good group. So I think Tamahir, while a lot of these horses are taking a drop in class, this is a massive one for her. Now, to your point, Dennis, if the 6 doesn't win here, then I think you might see Chad Brown start to give up on her. But to me, this is a confidence builder. Get her a win here and then get her back up. Maybe a race Travers type of day, closing weekend, and back in the stakes. So I would definitely look at this as more of what you just said, a prep for a stakes race. I think Tamahir is going to be awfully tough. I think the class drop is just too much. Also, you kind of said she doesn't have a lot of speed. I think that helps in a 6-horse field because it seems like they kind of group together a little bit more. They're not quite as strung out. So I think she'll be, not on the lead, obviously, but I think she'll be kind of mid-pack within striking distance. And then if the 7 comes back a little bit, I think the 6 kind of just gobbles them up down the lane. Is that kind of what you looked at with the 6?
Yeah, I mean, she's supposed to win is what it comes down to. I mean, she's coming out of a race losing to 2 Charlie Appleby horses. Chad Brown seems to not have anything that could fire against those. For the record, Tamahir was never going to fire against those 2 anyway.
Yeah.
Her odds of almost 8-1, just a little under that, I think was more out of respect for Chad Brown than anything, to be quite honest with you. His best runners get Irad Ortiz. That one got Javier Castellano. So I think that's an indication. I do want to talk about a few others, though. If we can throw a few of the comments up, I guess we can get into it. I think the first one was Speak to Me of Summer, or then we could talk about the 9, Tez. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We'll talk about the 4. It's kind of similar to me. She's had too many opportunities that she didn't fire. Now, back in October in the Sands Point, she lost to Tamahir. That's fine. It's a long time ago. I get it. We're talking, 9 months ago or so? That's fine. I understand she might have improved. To be quite honest with you, Vigilante's Way is not beating Tamahir. So that's where I make the connection, right? Vigilante's Way ran at Gulfstream, and I think that's the Tropical Park Oaks back in December 26th. I believe that's the name of it. It's the day after Christmas, right before the New Year. she kind of looks like one of those horses who's always going to be there and hangs, because I'm not sure she closes. And even in a 6-horse field back at Belmont at this level, literally the same level, she started 4th and finished 4th. I'm just not sure what to do with her. And to be quite honest with you, she's going to get hit in terms of the price. She won't be going off at 6-1. So if I look at something like Sweet Melania, we just go on the morning lines for a minute. Sweet Melania looks like she might not have as much talent, but she's going to be on the lead. And if we think this is Aaron and I, we talk about this all the time, just like domestic spending, you need a horse that's probably going to need the lead to beat him. You're not going to get a better closer than domestic spending. You're not going to get a better closer than Tamahir, I don't think, here. So I'm not going to pick another closer in terms of the sequence. Now, if you want to talk race by race like Aaron does, that's a different conversation to have. But if we're talking about likely winners, I'm not going to find another closer that I think is as good as Tamahir. She didn't close in, in the Just a Game because, well, it's the grade 1. I don't know what to say. But she did close in the Jenny Wiley to Juliet Foxtrot, and she did close in the Matriarch, even though she only finished 6th. In the Sands Point, she closed. So I'm with Aaron. That's the top choice. You could talk about Speak to Me of Summer or Waitez a little bit. I don't have any strong opinion on Waitez. I did put Speak to Me of Summer 4th, but
Ricky is an hilarious. That is just like more proof that Ricky listens to nothing that I say when I start talking. Like literally went over the 4 and the 9 before I talked about my top choice. So I don't think I need to talk about him again. So
no, that's fine.
Am I crazy for singling the 6 so I can spread later? Honestly, that's the most likely winner on the whole card for me. So I don't think you're crazy if you single here. I really don't. It just has a feel. Chad kind of did this with a horse named Rock Emperor last time out. And it was a horse that had a longer history of not winning, dropped an allowance, won by 2. And now we're in a stakes next time out. That's kind of what Tamahir feels like to me. So I'm with you. Now, to your point on, hey, if I'm trying to beat Tamahir, I'm not going to do it with another closer. I think that's logical. And it's very logical that the 7 and the 8 are going to be the 2 that's out in front. So, yeah, I mean, I think the 6 will be ahead of the 4 coming for home. And I don't think the 4 can outkick the 6, even if they're even. So if the 6 has that tactical advantage, I'm pretty worried about it. But, they don't really run on paper sometimes, on the track, how we see it on paper. So we'll kind of see, but with Rosario board, I think you got a pretty good indication. Go to the back, make one run.
Well, before we move on, what do you like about the 9? Or what does anyone like about the 9? I'm looking at it again. I'm not questioning you. I'm looking at it again because I've now looked at it before the race, and I looked at it while you were talking about it, and then I looked after I just finished about the 4, and I still can't find it.
Thank you, Alf Alien, for joining us today, by the way. But I think this comment was very good and very well timed. The only pace in the race is the 7. Can the 9 sit behind the 7 and win? Of course, it's playing the closers like we've talked about, but 7 is the only speed. Maybe the tables turn. Yeah, I think the 9 gets the trip for sure. I think Ian Wilkes is dangerous when he brings horses up here. They usually run well. If they don't win, they usually run well. I do think the 9 can kind of sit that trip. The horses from Churchill, they've been running pretty well up here. It's kind of on the same line of thinking as you. If you're going to try to beat the 6, you want horses that are a little bit forwardly placed. And I would argue the 9 is better than the 8. So if you use the 8, maybe you could do 6, 7, and 9 instead of 6, 7, and 8. That would be where I don't think the 9's going to win this race, but you're making me, if I'm trying to make an argument, going to sit close, got a pretty good rider. I know he's not riding well now, but there's still a pretty good rider for Ian Wilkes to pick up here. There's some things to like about the 9.
And yeah, I personally, the problem, I guess, for me is the speed is definitely towards the outside. I think everyone's in agreement there. Whether what you think the speed is or how good the speed is may be a different conversation, but the speed is 7, 8, and 9 in some sort of form. Is she going to get caught out? That's my biggest concern. Aaron, and maybe you agree or disagree, she needs like the perfect trip. Because I agree, the 8 is not a likely winner. I'll take the price and I'll take a better connection group, to be quite honest. They both need perfect trips. I'll also take 12-1 over 8-1, and I'll take a rider who's clearly hot right now, as opposed to a rider that clearly isn't at his best. Not that he's not good, just not at his best. Again, the 8 and 9 both need, I would say, A+, if not A++ trips to beat this group. So either way, I think we could agree on that.
Yeah, and you're right. Out of all of them that obviously that could get floated wide, this is an obvious comment, but it's still worth saying because all the speeds to the outside, so the 9 does have a shot to get floated out pretty wide because we know 7's probably going to be ahead, but the 8 is going to try to get up there and get forwardly placed too. And with the 9 doing the same, yeah, obviously that horse has a shot to get hung out a little wide. We'll see. I mean, again, back to this comment, I kind of think the 6 may blow this field out, and in turf standards, meaning a length or two. But it was never really in doubt. Like mid-stretch, you knew who the winner was, type of thing. Obviously, by turf standards, if you win by a length or two, it's a pretty substantial victory. These races are usually close. So, yeah. Any final thoughts before we move on to the next one?
No, and then just to tack onto your final point, especially with a closer, it's one thing if you're on the lead and you expand. If you're closing, you're not going to win by that many lengths unless you're just a grade 1 runner running against claimers. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I completely agree with your final point.
Yeah, it is tough to win by a large margin on the turf. And boy, when you do see it, it's you really know you've seen something. All right, let's go to the 8th race. Another really, really good race, I thought, Ricky. An allowance again. This one going 5.5 furlongs. $103,000 purse. These purses are great at Saratoga for 3-year-olds and upwards, which have never won $15,000 other than maiden, claiming, starter, or state bred allowance, or which have never won 2 races. So it's definitely a conditioned allowance field. The 4 and the 9 are scratched, and then also the 13, the 14, and the 15. Another good race here. I saw this as a spread race. How about you?
Yeah, I did too, and I think your spread is based on your lack of dollar commitment to your top choice. So I completely agree. But we did have the same horse on top, and that's a 7 Noble Emotion, who I'll let you get into. But I'll go through them real quick. Big Package won at this level, won at the same level, as Noble Emotion on June 13th. So they're coming out of that race that they won. Big Package now gets Irad Ortiz back, who's definitely an upgrade over Luis Cardenas. I expect this horse to run a little bit better with Irad aboard, and I think he fits. 3-1 is fair. That's maybe a little short, but we'll see what we get. The 7 I'll skip. I thought the 8 was interesting. Bally Dooley. Look, Aaron, this kind of looks like a race that I can't really get a firm grasp on how consistent these runners are. And it kind of seems like ever since this horse hit the turf, which I have no idea why they're running this horse on the dirt at all this year, but they were. Ever since he got back on the turf, kind of seems to be a different runner. Now, for the record, you could say his odds are an indication of how bad the fields were. I'm with you. But I'm not really sure that there's a ton of other speed other than our top choice. With that being said, Eric Consel's now won 2 times on this horse. I think for a horse that truly has the ability to go gate to wire, 15-1 would be absolutely nuts if he got the price. And then the other one is the Amos horse coming from the South with, Kentucky and the Fairgrounds. United and Resolute has run against some good horses, all stakes runners, getting Luis Saez, who, Aaron, I think even to your credit at this point, Luis Saez is riding much better than Florent Giroux is. Who's the best rider that he's had. Recently, James Graham as well. I don't really know what to do with this horse, to be quite honest with you. I'm not sure why he's 8-1. Is it a lack of consistency? I mean, he finishes second and third a lot. Maybe that's the reason they don't trust him to win. But I don't know. There are a few short prices in here that I don't love, a couple that I like. Obviously, the one I'll let you talk about is the 7 Noble Emotion, but I think we can get a price. This is probably your biggest price race, I think, in the sequence.
Yeah, no doubt. First of all, hello from Turkey. Hello to you. Thanks for tuning in. That's awesome. Listen, this race, I think it's go as deep as you can. It just smells like something weird's going to happen here for sure. I used some weird ones. I used the 1 at 15-1 in the pick 4. This horse coming out of Monmouth made the Monmouth debut last time out and didn't run terrible. Kind of got to the front and did what a lot of horses will do at Monmouth, just kind of hang there and not really finish, and got caught. I think the horse could improve. I used Bill Mott's horse, Colton's Command, the 2. I kind of like the cut back there from a pedigree standpoint. I think that makes a little bit of sense. I used Wesley Ward's horse, the 6, coming off a layoff, gets Rosario. But on top, I did use 7 Noble Emotion. And again, it's the same situation. I am a little worried that Speed has not been playing well on the turf, for sure. But again, the point is every week is different. So the track maintenance crew sees what's happening, and they're saying, well, maybe this track isn't quite fair. They're working to get it fair. Now, whether it's going to play the same today as it did the last 2 weekends, it's anybody's guess, but it might play a bit differently because the goal is to make the track fair for everybody. So if they see this like we're seeing it, they're working to make it a little more fair. So I'm not just against all speed horses this week until we see what happens. That's why I am going to use Noble Motion on top. I'm with you. It looks like the lone speed going 5.5 furlongs. Horse just won last time out. Hector de Paz, first off the claim last time out, gets wheels right back in a logical race. Jose Ortiz jumps right back aboard. All good signs. We'll just see if the speed holds. But because that's my top pick, I am going to go a lot deeper underneath because it is shaky. Let's see. We look at the comments here. Love the 10, well-bred, sitting on a big race. Ricky, I know we're going to talk about a few other ones here. What did you think of the 10? Is that one you looked at?
Yeah, well, speaking of not listening to what I'm saying, I used the 10 on the ticket. I just talked about United and Resolute. So now we're 1-1. Now we're 1-1.
1-1.
Yeah. His biggest issue is that he hasn't passed a ton of horses. But with that being said, he's also been tactical, right? So if you're going to be third to pass a significant amount of horses, that means you won the race. That's what people don't understand. I'm not saying he can't win. I actually do like the horse a lot. I didn't really know what to do. And Tom Amoss doesn't bring a ton, but they usually run. One thing I did want to point out, and you should get a decent price as well. I agree on the final part of the comment on a big race with the $2 sign. We also apologize. Aaron meant to say Horatio de Paz, not Hector de Paz. Horatio Kane. Have you ever watched CSI Miami with Horatio Kane with the orange hair? Did you ever?
Somebody rewind it. I don't think I said his first name. So that's interesting.
Hector. You called him Hector. Maybe you meant Hector Diaz, who I don't think is in this race at all.
I don't know. That's odd.
Yeah, we'll have to go back and play.
I think I said first off the claim for De Paz. So
I thought you said Hector, which I guess could be for 4, Hector and 4. I don't know. But if he did, we apologize. If he didn't, then I apologize for bringing it up.
Here you go. He's going back.
I did want to. I did want to talk about the 2, Colton's Command, a little bit. First of all, we could talk about the 1 and the 2. But we'll start with Colton's Command because that's why I brought up first. I didn't know what to do with this horse. I'll throw out the last one with a yielding turf course. That's fair. I'm not going to judge a horse off a yielding turf course unless we're going to be running on a yielding turf course, which we're not. But the race prior to that, not in for a tag based on the running lines, 80,000. I wasn't overly impressed as a favorite. So what is the perfect setup for him today? Well, how does he get to the winner's circle? Or is it just the cut back in distance we should see a massive performance? Or is there something in the running lines that pointed you in that direction?
Well, I think closers on the turf definitely is a big thing for that horse for sure. I like the connections. And listen, if the 7, let's say the 10, let's say the 8, they all kind of go out there and the track plays, there you go. I said Hector. Oh boy, I'm going to retire. This will be my last rocket hour. If the speed comes back, I just think this horse is going to have the punch to get it done. We saw this horse at a mile, and that was the best, that he had closed. And then they stretched him out to mile 16th, and he still closed, but he didn't quite have that kick. And then we saw him in, like, say, the yielding. I take a line draw through there. I agree with that. I just think the cutback and with the chance for a setup of speed, I think the 2 is going to be rolling late. Now, maybe the horse is just a little too short for him, but I don't know. I definitely think the 2 is one that can close late and get the job done. That's kind of looked at as far as the 1. It's just more of, I think there's going to be a price. And I think if you get 15 to 1 on the 1, it makes logical sense to use the horse. Has not a great resume overseas. This was not a horse they had huge, thoughts for. That race at Monmouth, it was decent. Got beat by a horse named Fauci. He's a pretty decent horse. But it was more of the replay. You watch it, it's like, I think the horse got ahead and just stopped and waited. So second time out in the United States, we can use the whip today. Ricardo is a sneaky jockey for sure. I just think the price on the 1 makes sense.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually leaned 1 over 2. So okay. I was just curious. Like, I don't hate the 1 at all. I don't know what to make of Phil Antonacci coming here. That's the big reason. Like, if I had Bill Mott on the 1, I think I'm having a different conversation. It's like I couldn't decide with the 1, and I just kind of like horses a little bit better. I never would have used it 2, to be quite honest with you. The 1 I thought was interesting, and this is a true specialist. For one of the 90 times, yeah, I was right. I don't have bad hearing. I definitely don't. I knew he said Hector. I also knew because Halterman, or Aaron Halterman, I call him Halty. Him along with the rest of the group, they struggle with names, whether it's horses and trainers. He's not the only one. I think that's where I give myself an A for names. Well, I was like, unless he was talking about Hector Diaz, which he definitely wasn't. Hector Diaz and Horatio De Paz are close, though. I will give him that if that's what the mistake was. I'm with you on the 1. I'm scared of this 1. That's who I'm afraid of. And you talked about the Wesley Ward, the 5. I don't know what to do with the 6. I apologize. I don't know what to make of him either. I'm a little scared of him as well. My boy Jose Lascano couldn't get the job done in the futurity, but he wasn't bad. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. Is After 5, who finished second, one of his horses as well? Is After 5 one of his horses? I guess I could click into it and look. I know it's another turf sprinter. I thought, yep, After 5 is also his as well.
Yep.
This is the toughest race, by the way. We're spending the most time on it because I think it's the toughest. Is there anyone else that we didn't go over, or anything you wanted to ask me about as to why I used them?
God, we've gone over almost all of them, right? I mean, I feel like we've talked about them all. Let's get to this comment. I think the race falls apart in the 3s, or falls in the 3's lap, basically.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a comment on another one we haven't talked. Thoughts on the 12. Great works. Trainer percentage, solid off a long layoff. The 12, Amsden. Another Wesley Ward horse. Johnny Velasquez. I mean,
Can we? This is like a softball toss for me. When you're playing softball and you're locked in on that pitch. First of all, Wesley Ward has 2 in here. Joel Rosario gets the call on the other one, so we're automatically going to lean that way. The second thing is, in these, I don't care what people say. Yes, this is still going to be breaking from the 10. This is exactly the time. Can we scroll down actually a little bit just so we can know the last 2, because we haven't gotten a chance to. That's perfect. Yeah. 15 to 1 on the line. Aaron, there was a horse that we used maybe last Wednesday or Thursday, and we both looked at each other like, oh, Wesley Ward, and the board was cold.
Yep.
Absolutely ice cold. And then we texted each other. We're like, or maybe you texted me first, and I was like, dude, we got this one wrong. And the board with Wesley, here's a rhyming phrase. The board with Wesley Ward tells the story, because when his runners look good on paper and then I guess have the buzz, they're low odds. We're going to find out if this horse at 15 to 1 is crap or not. If you guys listened back when we did Gulfstream like every day, January, February, March, and I guess into April, I was fading every Woodbine runner. I'm still going to do that. And the fact we haven't seen it, it was the Ontario Racing Stakes. The race prior to is a Colonial Downs, a maiden race. I don't know. This doesn't seem like a recipe for success. A Johnny Velasquez, who's a little bit more patient, except on Malathot because he had to be, now taking over for a Woodbine runner who we haven't seen since September. And the 15 to 1 morning line, Aragona and David Aragona, who makes the morning line odds, seem to be looking at this one properly. What did you think of that horse? And you did like the other Wesley Ward horse for, which I like but don't love. Did he factor in at all?
Here's the problem. He was 2-5 on debut and won. And then he was even money in that Woodbine race and lost. But still, they thought a lot of him. 2-5 even money. Now, if you catch him at 15-1, I don't know. Maybe he is worth an ad. I looked at him a lot like I viewed the one. You don't really know. But if you want to take a shot with the price, I'm not going to talk you off of it. Here's what I'll kind of say about him. If your budget allows, he's not a bad ad, but don't add him and replace him with somebody else that you already got on a ticket. You know what I mean? Like if you've got 3 or 4 runners that you're happy with, don't put the 12 on over one of those now. I mean, I think if you singled in the race before, or you're going to single in the next race and you're going to really spread here, he should be on a ticket, but don't make a special exemption for this horse. It's funny. This is, the Alf, he says no, 0 shot. So Alf was with us, but we also have commenters that think this horse has a shot. And look, he was definitely highly thought of as a 2-year-old. You cannot say that he wasn't. So we'll just see if he can kind of come back today and do something. And here's a stat. You're right. And yes, Johnny V 1 for 29 so far. That one win was with the Wesley Ward horse, and that one win was by less than an inch. So pretty crazy to think Johnny V 1 for 29. That's a trend that'll probably go the opposite way eventually, but he's cold right now, no question.
Well, to back up that stat, I'm usually with you that a rider that good is going to turn it around. I don't know. Like, to be quite honest with you, I'd be shocked if he got to 10 wins this meet. And that I don't know if we can't find odds on that. I'd be shocked, absolutely shocked. And we're what, a third through the meet now? He needs what? He really only needs like 2 wins a week to get to 9 in theory if we're going in order. I don't know. I'm with you. I would take the 6, that Wesley Ward over. Both coming off layoffs though, so
yeah.
For the record, before we move on, I am very wary of horses and turf sprints coming off layoffs as opposed to turf routes. Again, we're not talking Golden Pal, like that's a different type of horse. But I guess Wesley Ward is the best at it. These turf sprints are right up his alley. Like this is where he specializes. But I'm just always wary because you break a little slow, or you hop or whatever, it's over. It's completely over. And these horses haven't seen competition in many months. So this should be this is probably the race I'm looking forward to the most, as opposed to the next one we're going to talk about, which is a graded stakes race.
Yeah, it's funny. It's always one horse every time we do this where the commenters love and we don't. And so, and I'd say we're right or you're right more than often than not. Just there's always one, and this seems to be the one with this 12. So it also adds that even though you're excited to watch these races at Saratoga, you don't need a reason to be excited, but kind of adds that aspect of I wasn't going to watch that 12 at all, and now I'll probably watch his whole trip just to see how he does here, so we can talk about it tomorrow. So yeah, it's fun, and that's what makes this game so damn fun. Is people have such different opinions. And then we get to watch it unfold in a couple hours. And that's what makes almost the buildup of horse racing almost better than the race, that we can all debate and talk about it. So let's move on, though. We've talked about that one enough. I agree. I'm with you. Ricky says, let's go. Let's go to, yes, the grade 2, honorable miss, a grade 2 on a Wednesday. I absolutely love that they always run this race on a Wednesday or Thursday, it seems like. Field of 8 after 1 scratch, the 3 Sadie Lady. That's a horse I was kind of thought Oh, it wasn't awful. Maybe had a shot, to hit the board. Leaves it with a field of 8, 7-5 favoritism on Bell's the One, a horse we've seen in this division multiple times over the last couple of years. Did you go short here? Do you like Bell's the One, or do you think it's a little more wide open than that?
I went with too deep just because Bell's the One always scares me in terms of her ability, not in terms of, but her closing style always scares me. If you take her races that she didn't run well against Gamine, she looks even better on paper. 8 for 18. She is $1 million winner now after winning down at Churchill Downs in June. She's supposed to win. I'll let you talk about it a little bit more. I did think the 4 Lake Avenue was a little interesting, though. I'm with you about the 3 as well, Sadie Lady, who's now out. This horse lost in the Bed of Roses, which is not that much different. This is a grade 2. That was a grade 3. That was over Sloppy. I happen to think Lake Avenue is better at 7 furlongs or 6 furlongs. 6 furlong. They ran her in the Ruffian in a mile. They ran her in the Heavenly Prize in a mile, and she beat that field easily. I just think she's a little bit better going shorter. If you look at her in the fantasy stakes last year when she lost to Swiss Skydiver in Venetian Harbor, she never had a chance, even though she was 13.5 to 1. She should have been a little bit better. Then the next time out, 7 furlongs. Didn't run well, but then she got better. She seems to be much better in 2021. I just thought she had a shot. It's going to be interesting here, right? Because, again, this is a field of 8 with the scratch out, but, your top choice and my top choice, she's going to have to pass horses. There looks like there's some speed on paper. I just used one horse that I was interested in at 9 to 2, but we're on the same page. Bell's the One is the horse to beat. And 7 to 5 would probably be a generous price.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I do think Lake Avenue is the upsetter if there's going to be one. So I think we see it kind of the same as far as those top 2. All right, let's get to the comments while I talk about this. So remember when John Court was riding, Ricky fell out of bed, says don't use him. I think you're referring to Will's Secret over at Indiana and Indiana Oaks. You're like, you can't bet John Court at this low price, and guess what? Ricky was right. This was me last night. Corey Larry is riding at Saratoga. Bell's the One can win, but I hate Sealand. I mean, I don't hate Corey Landry, but Ricky, he's not as good as these other jockeys, right? I mean, if we're being honest.
Oh, yeah. But, okay, so here's the difference. If Corey Lannery were to run it anywhere that John Court were to run at, or not run, to ride at, I should say, you would sprint for the hills if you were trying to take a John Court. So you'd be running away from the scene. It would be a murder scene trying to take John Court over Lannery. Lannery's not the best, but he's solid, very, very solid. I mean, to me, he's better than Adam Beschizza, who's in the same race. So he's not the worst on paper. Yeah, he's not as good as these guys. We talked about John Court. I don't know if it was at Saratoga or at the Indiana Grand.
Yeah.
It's like John Court was like supposed to be the 4th best rider there. Lannery's the worst one, but it's at Saratoga. It's like being the worst all-star at the all-star game. Does that make you bad because you're at the worst? You know what I'm saying? It's like, and he also has had all the ride. So I didn't hear anyone complaining about Corey Lannery in the Derby City Distaff 2 years ago. I didn't see any complaints when she lost in the Madison to Kamari. I didn't hear any complaints then. But I agree. Corey Lannery's not as good as Ricky Santana. It's not going to cause me to not use her.
Here's the thing. We'll get to Bell's the One now. This is good stuff. What it was, Dennis, I think he came up to Saratoga to ride, but that was a Saturday, I think. I don't think we were covering that day, but we did cover the Indiana race. So I don't know, but it doesn't matter. It's same difference. But anyway, I agree, like no Gamine, no Kafefi, no Guarana. She should win here. And I agree. It's like, yeah, you don't really just want to take 7 to 5, especially in the stakes right now at Saratoga, but it just seems like she's better than the rest of this field. But to Dennis's point, the one worry that you have, this horse has to come from out of it. We know that. Does Lannery get this horse in some trouble? We've kind of seen it over the past. He gets horses in trouble sometimes that come from out of it. That is the worry. I'm not overly concerned because I think what this horse can do here is just kind of sit outside everybody. Don't even worry about trying to go inside, make an inside move, and just kind of round the field. I think that's what the plan is going to be here, but it is worrisome. But that's why, I wouldn't single here. I don't think this horse is a true single because of the running style. Yeah, and then Steve, and then you talked about it, Lake Avenue as well. You kind of like her at 6, and I kind of think we're in agreement. I don't think you should be worried much about the distance. I think she'll be okay at the 6. I think she makes a lot of sense here. One other horse I wanted to bring up, and you didn't use, but I think is interesting. What about the 6 horse, Don't Call Me Mary? 2 wins in a row. I know it's a step up in class, but has 2 wins in a row. The wins came at Gulfstream and Belmont in allowance races. Luis Saez aboard. I think he'll get a little aggressive. You saw last time out, this horse can sit close, but doesn't have to be on the lead. Won both of those allowance races at tough tracks by 4+ lengths. The 6, did you think about the 6 at all?
I did. That was the horse I had in 3rd.
Okay.
So I'll actually 4th behind Sadie Lady. So I'm going to now elevate her to 3rd. I had to go back and watch some of those races. Some of those fields that she beat were bad. And to be honest, she beat Truth Hurts by 4.5 lengths. Truth Hurts is the longest shot on the board here. So I have a lot of respect for her. Todd Pletcher's done really, really well over the last week, starting to elevate himself. And again, as he always does, Saez, great rider as well, obviously. I just question the 2 fields. She's clearly done much better this year than she did last year. I think that's obvious. She's clearly taken a step up. I'm very skeptical of the field she beat, especially Gulfstream. And then the one last time out was good. I wouldn't be shocked to see Luis Saez try to push this horse and get her to the lead and see how far she can go. I think the price is much better than if you get 12-1 in a win bet over the 4 at 9-2. Let's just say those were the morning lines and those were accurate. I would take the 6. I don't think she's that much worse, but I do think a 4 is a more likely winner if Bell's the 1 isn't on top of her game. I did look up the John Court thing. He was on a horse Seize the Night in the Sanford, I think 20-1. Mind you, he only beat Luis Saez, Carol Cedeno, and one other rider, maybe Saez and one other, while losing to Witt. So he had one mount. I wouldn't bet John Court in a 1-horse race. So that's where I'm at there. The 6 is scary. I think Bell's the 1 is a more likely winner than Tamahir, to be honest. Just because we've seen Bell's the 1 at her best. We've seen her win. We know what it takes for her to win if we go to Tamahir, and I guess we could do it at the end. We saw her win in the Sands Point. I just trust Bell's the 1 a little bit more. She's a little bit more consistent, even though Tamahir has reasons not to be, a.k.a. her last race. She's not a grade 1 winner. That's not her fault. But this is a good one. I'm much more excited about 7 and 8 than I am about this honorable miss.
Yeah, well, again, though, it's 3 really good races in the row, 2 allowances, and then the grade 2 honorable miss. And listen, it's either going to be a chalk and we're all going to go, well, we knew that was going to happen, or you're going to see a big upset here. I think, if you like Lake Avenue, I think you might get every bit of that 9-2, or at least 7-2. So you've got options if you want to go against, and there's some logical ones out there. All right, let's go to, so we had 3 great races. Well, it's as far as being on a Wednesday, very good races. Let's get to our typical get out race of the evening. Those maiden claimers going 1 mile and 16 on the turf here. $40,000 maiden claimer for 3-year-olds and upward. A field of 12, full field of 12. The also eligibles 13, 14, 15, and 16 are out. Listen, I think 14 Digital Software would have been a huge favorite if he draws into the field. Instead, he does not. Field of 12. I thought this was a wide open scramble. Pretty curious to hear what you thought here.
Yeah, obviously, when you get to these types of races, right, there are a lot of horses with a lot of questions, or you have first-time starters that you may or may not be interested in, and we'll go through. I used 4. I mean, I would have liked to use more. It's you're actually choosing a horse that I'm not using at all, so I guess I can go through all of them. I thought the 3 Caribbean Gold was interesting. I'm always going to use speed in these situations. It's these horses tend to not have any heart and tend to not want to pass. The 3 has speed, Maker Ortiz, and Jose Ortiz, my favorite rider. Second on the turf behind Jose Lascano, but Jose obviously will get back aboard here. He was aboard in a maiden special weight race last year. He clearly wasn't good enough. The 6 Prayer Book, I don't know what, they kept this horse on the dirt last time out. He beat 1 horse. I'm not really sure what the move was there. But prior to, I mean, the 2 turf efforts were decent this year. It kind of seemed like he was going in the right direction. And then that 1 race, I'm going to throw that out. If you just look at the last 2, the races 2 and 3 back, kind of seems like he fits here. Kind of seems like this is a logical spot. Again, Pletcher's Barn starting to get hot. IRAD as well. The 10, Barkley Tag brings Bunker Hill, a son of Warfront, who's dropping in for a tag. The time form figures weren't as bad as I thought. I kind of had to dive into this one. This was one of those that I didn't really know what to do with in terms of on paper. And then I saw, I believe he's like mid-90s, his Spotlight, which that's what Timeform uses. It's like their main one to look at over the last few. Come back with a 94, that's not bad. So I thought he was decent. I know I'll get a price on a horse like this. And then Flight to Paradise, Mike Trombetta. Trombetta used to bring a lot more horses to Saratoga. He does not anymore. Pretty much Laurel, Pimlico, Delaware, like that area. Now, I mean, 2 starts back at Belmont Park at the 50,000 level, finished 3rd. I mean, that's good enough, I think, to win here as well. I went with a bunch. Again, you're going to talk about a Joe Sharp horse who's 8-1. So you'll definitely, I think you'll get that price, but I wouldn't hate anyone who went with a multitude of directions here. If you're just betting a favorite, I would highly, highly go against it. If you're going to go, if you play race by race, I would look in the Aaron range of 8-10, or maybe my range with the 10 Bunker Hill or something like that. Cause I think this one is wide open.
Well, to start off, I was in between 2 8-1 shots. I Bunker Hill makes a lot of sense to me as well. It's kind of a situation that I talk about on the show a lot. It's dropping in the tag for the first time. It's a huge class drop, and I've used that angle before. I don't know. I'm not overly confident in that horse. Here's why. So Luis Saez was on the 10 last time out. Now Dylan Davis is on the 10. Where did Luis Saez go? He went to the 7 Boldish. Now, if you look at this horse on paper at his 2 performances, there's no way you're going to get to him ever. He was not great on debut. Got 4th in a maiden special weight, Churchill Downs, beaten 4 3/4. Both races on the dirt, by the way. Comes off a layoff, goes back to Churchill, maiden special weight, going a mile. He only got beat by 57 3/4. I mean, that's a long ways. But you get Luis Saez, you move to the turf. I don't know. I just feel like Luis Saez would not jump aboard this horse unless he kind of had a feeling that, hey, the horse is at least decent. We at least have a shot in this spot. Also both races were maiden special weights that he's been in. Now we're going to the maiden claimer. So you get that class drop as well. It's taking a shot. Would I play this horse against other horses that I thought were very good? No. But I look at this and it's like these horses that are shorter prices than the 7, they're not great. So I'm going to take a swing with either Boldish or Bunker Hill. The reason why I didn't go Bunker Hill, we've seen the horse on the turf a couple times. We kind of know what he is. We don't know. The 7 may suck on the turf. Very well could. We don't know. He might get on the turf, get Luis Saez aboard, which is definitely a jockey upgrade, and run a better race. And if the horse can just run decent, he's going to be in contention and have a shot. So I took a swing with the 7. Ricky, I understand you not using this horse. This is certainly a shot in the dark. This horse could definitely finish 7th or 8th. I'm not saying bet $100 on him, but I do think there's going to be some value here with this horse.
You said you're taking a shot with the 7. Sorry, taking a swing.
Mm-hmm.
You have a better chance of hitting a 98-mile-an-hour fastball from Jacob deGrom in the dark than this horse in terms of the swing. That's a swing you're taking. You're trying to hit a home run.
Mm-hmm.
If you get 8-1, it's a bad bet. You should have 15-1. Seriously, like I can never. And there are things that I probably do as a handicapper that people would look at me like I couldn't do it either. I just cannot bet a horse that lost by, let's call it 58 for the sake of the conversation, 58 lengths. The only case you can make is second start off the layoff, but there's really no turf pedigree there. I'm with you on the 10 though. I mean, we have seen the 10 on the turf, but at least that horse is bred for the turf. Like Warfront by all the Irish pedigree with Galileo. That horse is supposed to be running on the turf. I mean, that horse is not supposed to be on the dirt. And by the way, the 10 Bunker Hill is a horse I had in 4th. So my top choice was the 3 Caribbean Gold because of that speed factor. This easily has a gate to wire type of feel to me. If we look at the 3s races, again, the 2 starts going long, so a mile or longer back in August last year and then this May, somewhat for better efforts. Again, the pedigree of I Treasure Beach, which is Great Britain sire in England, suggests that this horse wants longer. He never really should have been going shorter. Are there any horses we didn't talk about that you thought were interesting, or maybe we could? There are any comments? I'm not looking at the comments. Do we have any comments?
Yeah, we've had a bunch here. Let's see. Let me get through it. So Tag isn't doing something right with the 10. Warfront, Galileo, Stakes Place Mare, and this horse can't run. I'd love to see if the 10 gets claimed and improves. Sometimes they don't run to their breeding, no matter who has them. That'll be my defense. But when you have a horse like this and he's in for maiden 40, you deserve criticism, right?
Yeah, but I'm not sure what we mean by stakes place with the 10. Are we talking about the 10 was never in a stakes race, right?
No, the mare. He's saying the mare was stakes placed, and then out of a Warfront, by Warfront.
Okay, I was getting cut off. To be honest, what was Barclay Tag supposed to do? I mean, like, other than drop him in for a tag. This is his second start off the layoff. To Aaron's point, I don't know if he said this, but I'm making the point for him. Second start off the layoff for the 7, second start off the layoff for the 10. I'm not really sure what Barclay Tag was supposed to do, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I don't know.
I think he's saying this horse has just been a disappointment, and he's blaming Barclay Tag. And again,
that's what I'm saying, like, if you give Chad Brown this horse, I'm not sure if this horse is that much better, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
And this is the other point. Warfront stands for $150,000. This is a homebred.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, they thought they had something with this horse because he was a homebred that they wanted to keep. If this was a horse that was expected to do a lot, maybe they would have let him go in a sale and see what they can get for him. Clearly, that's not the case. They had a mare by Claire de Lune. I don't know if that's an Allen stable mare or not. I don't have that information. But they got this mare either from somewhere or on their barn, on their farm, in their area, and thought they had something. I mean, maybe Barclay Tag wasn't the guy to give it to, but I don't know. I mean, maybe he does get claimed. I don't know. If he does get claimed, then he could win this race. And if he gets claimed, that means you should see a better effort.
Yeah, it's. I mean, to Jason's point, Tag is conservative. I think you'll see him do very well in this spot. I think Tag has been around long enough to see. Yeah, this horse can't really run. Let's just get him a win. Try to get him a win here. So I do agree. You're going to see better. Let's see. Don't really know what any of those mean. Here's one. Luis Saez is riding every single sharp horse up as far as Friday. So 12 starts for Sharp. all Sias. So he's Dennis is saying maybe he didn't choose the 7 over the 10. Maybe he's just kind of contracted out. Hey, I'm going to ride all your horses. That's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's possible. That's just something we would just. It's hard to know exactly the inner workings of the backside, and they don't make that public. I still think it's a good sign that he's on. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's fair. From the limited information I know regarding jockey agents, which is limited, I admit, they usually do not have a contact where it's like, if you have a horse, I'm only gonna ride, especially at Saratoga type of thing. You see it with Ricardo Santana and Asmussen because they come from Churchill Downs together. That's why you see that. And when Asmussen rides at Oaklawn, if Ricardo's around, he rides there too. So
yeah,
that's why you see that. It's very rare to have that much of a connection at a place like that. I don't think there's anything out west either specifically. Like I know like Abel Cedillo rides a lot for Baffert and things like that. You don't really see a Ricardo, Steve Asmussen type of duo. It's usually much more up in the air because at the end of the day, if a jockey picks another horse, it's not disrespect. It's because they think that horse has a better shot, and sometimes they're wrong. We had who was the Derby horse? Maybe the Preakness horse. There was a mount. Maybe it was Rosario who chose Rock Your World over someone else. Oh no, they put Rosario on instead of, was it Rispoli?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yep.
It's kind of the same thing, right? They're like, well, we have a chance to get Joel. We think Joel's a little bit better. And maybe it came back to hurt him. Maybe it didn't. No one's ever going to know, but it's kind of like the same thing, I guess. They have they just do the best for them.
I think we know in that situation when he didn't have his foot in the irons that probably hurt him.
Yeah.
Was he winning? No, but probably hurt him.
Well, you know what it's like. It's like, we weren't going to win that basketball game. Well, if you take every shot clock violation, you're sure as heck not going to win. So it's kind of like you weren't prepared, which
I'll sum it up and to kind of, to lean towards Dennis's line of thinking a little bit, because I don't think it's necessarily wrong. If you look up and you see that, then it's very possible that they did kind of make some kind of deal of, hey, I'll ride your horses this week, So it could be that. It definitely could be. I'm not calling you wrong, Dennis. I'm just saying we don't know. But no matter the situation, look at it like this. If he made an agreement with Sharp, hey, I'm going to ride your horses, more than likely, there's a lot of horses there that he thinks are going to run well, So is it necessarily specifically this one? Absolutely not. But he's not agreeing to ride, let's say, 10 horses and only one of them have a shot.
Right. Yeah. And it also could be Joe Sharp might have a monster that's coming here in a week or two.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, there's this horse that I think you would be a perfect fit for. I'll scratch your back. You scratch my back. You take this mount here, but we're giving you a potential superstar down the road, or a stakes winner maybe, and that happens all the time too. Again, it's hard to know. We're not in the winners, not the winner circle. The backstretch, the barn area. We don't really know. My favorite rider is in this race, Jalen Samuel, one of the riders that I will never bet on. And you could tell by the 8. The 8's going to struggle. If you're 50-1 on the morning line in a maiden claiming event, boy, are you never going to win. Like, I wouldn't bring this horse to Charlestown. This horse won't win anywhere. Yeah. And Mashawish, who's had some horses. I mean, not the worst pedigree of all time, but boy, yeah.
I'm confident my 7 will beat the 8. That's one horse I think we can beat for sure. So
yeah, you should. Okay, so you should definitely beat the 8.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 you should beat the 2.
Yeah,
but again, it goes back to my Jose Lascano thing. Like, this is what Jose Lascano gets. What I'm saying? Like, this horse is going to be 30-something to 1. So you should beat at least 2 horses on paper, maybe the 4.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like Romantic Man. And maybe the 11.
I'm with Dennis. It's almost noon. Let's go steeplechase. Actually, let's recap our ticket, then we'll go steeplechase real quick. So recap your ticket there, Ricky.
So I'll start in race 7. I'll go with the 6, 7, and 8. I think the 6 is the horse to beat along with Aaron Tamahir. But I want some speed and Sweet Melania, and I think the Mike Maker, Tyler G connection on the 8 is too good to leave off, so I went 3 deep there. In the 8th race, it's the race I'm looking forward to the most. I'm keeping an eye on 2 horses. I did go 3, 7, 8, and 10, but I'm looking at prices. The 8 and the 10. You have a horse trying to win 3 in a row, and the 10, United and Resolute, that I think could shock as he makes his Saratoga debut. The 9th goes through Bell's the One. I think Lake Avenue is just a horse that if Bell's the One doesn't show up, but Bell's the One is the one to beat. That's the 9 horse. I went 2 deep. In the final, I went 3, 6, 10, and 12. My top choice is the 3, Caribbean Gold. I'm really interested, though, to see how this 10 runs. The Barkley Tiger seems to be the horse that everyone's kind of up in the air about. So I'll sum it up: 3 by 4 by 2 by 4. That's $48. The sequence is 7 through race 10. 7 through 10.
Yeah, I will say real quick before I go through mine, because you were talking, you might kind of made a comment, people up in arms. This show is becoming really good because of you guys. These comments are great. Ricky and I could sit here and talk about the 2-3 horses we like and move on to the next race, but we get really deep into the races because of you guys. So thank you very much for the comments. This was great on a Wednesday to have all these comments. We absolutely love it. We'll sit here and talk about any horse, and we've proven that. When you give us a weird horse, we'll sit here and talk with you guys about it. So we love that. All right, enough kissing up to the audience. Let's go over my top picks here. So race 7, listen, the 6 Tamahir. That's my most likely winner on the whole card. I just think the class drop is going to be too much. And I know, Dennis, you kind of talked about, I think they're giving up on the horse. I look at it as, hey, it's a confidence builder, kind of a prep to try to get this horse back into stakes action. So we'll see who's right on that situation. Could be either one. That's like I like about the show. We get to debate with the commenters, and we'll see who's right here in a couple hours. Race 8, I'm just taking a small shot with the 7. I know speed hasn't been great on the turf, but we'll see. It could change this week. That's the thing with track trends. From week to week, they do kind of change. But I do think the 7 is going to kind of get out in front. Hopefully speed plays a little bit better today on the turf. In the 9th race, I like Bell's the One as well. Not completely confident. I'm more confident in the 6th and the 7th than I am with Bell's the One in the 9th. But I still think she's going to be tough to beat here. And then, like I said, 10th race, it's one of those races. You just kind of take a shot. I took my shot with the 7. First time turf, first time with Luis Saez aboard. Hopefully this horse just shows up with a little bit better effort. And if he does, they're not world beaters here, so maybe the 7 can kind of sneak in and get the job done at a big price. All right, steeple chase time. All right, so race 1, we got a field of 7. The Jonathan Kaiser Novice Stakes. I think we've got kind of a monsterish horse when I looked at this. Ricky, what did you think of this steeplechase?
Yeah, there's one comment that Dennis brought up. It's not often you see a $625,000 purchase. I believe that horse debuted at Colonial Downs back in 2019 as a regular racehorse, not a jumper. So that's that. But apparently this Mean Queen is supposed to be a superstar. And to be honest, she hasn't done anything wrong. She's never finished worse than 2nd. It's unbelievable. You could finish in the money or finish in the top 2 in 5 races and only come away with $45,000 in purse earnings. That's going to go up here. If she can win, she'll get like 60% of that. It's going to be like 40,000, I think, something in that range. Yeah, that's what I kind of put on top. But again, what do I know, right? Because this doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, it's 45,000. These races never make any sense. I don't know how you handicap it. Like, she's cutting back in distance. Is that what I'm supposed to be saying? I'm not. To be honest, I really don't know. This Thomas Gardner is 1 for 1 Kerry Breon, 2 in the money finishes and 3 of 10. Like, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be saying. She makes her Saratoga debut. I guess that's something to be said. And gets to ride at 146 pounds, which is the lowest of anyone. So, I think I gave my best educated guess. I apologize.
I love it.
You want to give it a shot?
Yeah. So I will say I have the Mean Queen on top as well. Listen, we'll never sit here and lie to you on the show. We don't know anything about these other than we look at the past performances and they see if they've won or lost races. That's it. And again, we said it. How many times we said on the show, Ricky, this is just for fun. It's just fun. Have fun with it. Don't take it that serious. So I was with the Mean Queen as well. I mean, 3 races in a row and won pretty easily. I don't know. Maybe they all fell down behind this mare. Maybe that's why she won so by so much. I really don't know. I will say, Charles, you like the Happy Giant. That's what I put in second. I looked at this one's past performances. It's like, well, you're either just god awful or you win. And last time out, this horse did win in a 2-mile race, won by 6. So again, maybe they all fell down behind him, but still was a win. So 6-7 is where I leaned. Dennis says, Dennis, the 5 is Lone Speed here. I think that horse can run. I don't know how you would. I don't know if the horse is Lone Speed or not, to be quite honest. I'll take your word for it. Hasn't been great. I'm just looking at the past performances now. The Happy Giant beat this horse by 23.5 last out. So
and Silent Player already beat this horse last year.
Okay.
At whatever track that is. That is PMT. Pine Mountain Callaway, I believe.
Sure.
I don't know where that is. That could be out. That could be like across the street for all I know. Never heard of it.
Well, this horse was in the same race last year and got 3rd. Set the pace, got 3rd, beaten 2.
It's a snap decision. Who went on to win? We're trying here.
Trust me.
Well, who's not in here today? What's his name?
Jared Bush.
Jared Bush. The last time he said "trust me," the steeplechase horse lost by 3,000 lines. So.
I would say the steeplechase horse may win this race today because he's still out there on the track trying to finish the race.
Yeah.
He was in last Thursday.
Yeah. Anyone who says "trust me" in a steeplechase race, I completely don't trust you. So that's where we are. I have nothing else to add. Everything I just said was a complete guess, even though I tried. The horse doesn't seem to finish worse than second. So
listen, it's just fun. It's fun. Have fun with it. I mean, that's part of it.
That's true. That's true.
All right. I think is that the only steeplechase race of the week? I think it is. Yeah, they usually run one on Thursday too, but nothing going. So all right. We'll wrap it up here. I think we've ended on a high note. We saved our best for last there. Here's a comment I forgot. Great show. Thanks. No, thank you guys. Thanks guys for coming in. Always feel free to comment if you're watching. Like, I'm not going to comment. Do it. I mean, you can't be any dumber than. No, I'm kidding. I'm not. I was not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. But yeah, definitely comment. We love talking horses. It gets us fired up for the cards. So. With that being said, we're going to sign off just real quick. Thursday, we will be back tomorrow. Be talking the late pick 4. And then Friday, Saratoga again, late pick 4. We got the Curlin Stakes as the feature there. Got some pretty good runners. Field of 7, they all seem like they can run a little bit. So going to be a lot of fun. We'll be right back at you same time tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, talking about the late pick 4. Good luck to everybody playing Saratoga today. Hopefully, if you're going to single in this late sequence, hopefully we pick the right one. So good luck, everybody.